and welcome to the Total Soccer Show. My name is Daryl Grove, and I'm joined by a man who's always strong at home. His name is Taylor Rockwell. Hello.
Hello, yes. I don't tend to let Barcelona come into my house and win, but if they ever tried, they probably would.
I mean, that's the case for most teams,
yes.
Right? Yes. So we are reviewing Barcelona's 3-0 home win over Liverpool in the semi-final first leg Champions League.
Yeah, I should add if Liverpool came to my house, they would also win.
They probably would, right? Mm-hmm. Unless you invited Barcelona over to help you defend.
Well, there's that.
Yeah. So, 3-0. I've got to say this feels over.
Yes, 100%.
This feels like maybe the second leg. We'll watch it, of course, but I'm not holding out much hope.
Yeah, I did see some people drawing comparisons to when Roma lost the first leg 4-1. I would add that away goal is a big difference.
It's the one, right? Mm-hmm. They didn't have Mohamed Salah hitting the post.
No, they did not. They did not.
Oh, dear. Mm-hmm. Okay, so going into this game, I love an hour before kickoff. Mm-hmm. You open up your laptop or your phone or whatever, you find out the lineups, right? Mm-hmm. Barcelona pretty much as expected. Liverpool had a couple of surprises for us.
They did.
First of all, Roberto Firmino not starting at centre forward, Giorgio Wijnaldum there instead.
Yes.
I read it was because some sort of fitness test that Firmino did not pass in the warm-up.
Yeah. Something related to an ankle injury, I believe, but was on the bench, did end up playing. But even then, it felt like maybe wasn't 100%. We could understand why he did not start.
He was running funny when he came on, right?
Yes,
I think I said he looked like he was running on the beach. You know, you have that like heavy-legged run when you're running sand.
I mean, it might be that we were just more attuned to it because we knew that there was an injury issue.
Yeah.
But he definitely, there was a weird gait. His arm was weird. I'm not used to having the weird kind of chicken wing thing he was doing. Maybe he always does that and I just haven't noticed, but it stood out to me again maybe because of the injury.
And I think it's also really telling that Klopp waited till the last 15 to get him on or so. Like if you're going to use him as an impact sub, you would have gone earlier, like maybe when you were 1-0 down. Or maybe half time or something like that.
And I think it's worth noting because I've seen some the way formations listed is that it was Wijnaldum sort of behind Salah and Mane. That was not the case.
He basically did the Firmino role, right?
I saw that. Yeah, I mean I saw him getting forward a lot but then dropping in a lot, and you might think, well, he's being a midfielder there, but that's what we see from Firmino is dropping in a lot. So I think, he was pretty much doing the exact same role or his approximation thereof.
And I'm going to say, not a bad impression, but also it's not good enough to do a not bad impression when the opposition is Barcelona. Exactly. Maybe if it was Huddersfield, you get away with it.
Yeah, I think so. And I think maybe part of it is just that maybe I'm oversimplifying here, but I think that if it's Firmino in there and you're Barcelona, you're a little bit more concerned about his goal-scoring ability than you are Gigi Wijnaldum. Yeah. No disrespect to Gigi Wijnaldum. He can certainly score, but it's not that same level as Firmino. It's not that front three that everybody's kind of come to know and fear. And so I do think for Barcelona, once it's Wijnaldum, you can sort of look to do your best to shut down Mane and Salah, and you know that you have less of a threat in front of goal if it's Wijnaldum than if it had been Firmino.
The other big, I won't say surprise, but the big decision in the starting 11 is Trent Alexander-Arnold not starting at right back, the more attacking right back, Joe Gomez instead, who's essentially a more conservative choice.
Who you called Joseph whenever he made a mistake. I enjoyed that immensely.
Well, when he's in trouble, he gets the full name.
Yes.
So I'm guessing that I want to get into what Liverpool were trying to do. So I really think it's fascinating. Barcelona is such a scary team, Leo Messi and all that. It's always really interesting to me what a team, especially when they go to the Camp Nou, what their plan is.
Yes.
And I think part of the plan was Joe Gomez stays home a lot more than Trent Alexander-Arnold, is a better defender, just sort of generally defensively better. And maybe that's
I'm kind of surprised to hear you say that, not because you love Trent Alexander-Arnold or anything like that, but because you do tend to be, not that you're a stickler for players playing a certain position, but you don't tend to love when a center back goes and plays right back.
Well, I think I'll give Gomez a pass in terms of, or I'll give Klopp a pass in terms of the idea, because Gomez has spent a lot of time at right back.
Okay.
Right? And he's even in a back three, played right centre back for England, so it makes sense enough to me, especially I think it fits into the plan of Mo Salah is on the right, he's our main attacking threat. Jordi Alba gets forward. Maybe Mo Salah can get in behind. So we have Gomez essentially sit there and hold, right? He only had that one wonder forward late in the second half. He stays there to make sure that Salah has less defensive responsibility.
Yeah.
I think that was part of the Liverpool plan.
I think it was too, but I think it's a...
I'm not saying it worked, but I think it was part of the plan.
Oh, I'd agree on both accounts. But I also think it's a strange situation that we find ourselves in when we're breaking down this game, which is that it felt like both teams were sort of focused on the same thing. Because I think for Barcelona, they were sort of looking at, we can kind of maybe pin that fullback back a little bit with one of our wide attackers, in this case Coutinho, and then we'll have Alba run through, knowing that Mohamed Salah is probably not going to track him.
Yeah.
And so a big part of their game was Jordi Alba goes forward. Excuse me. We looked it up. We're confident now. It's Jordi.
Catalan, you don't pronounce the J as a Y.
There we are. So, disrespect. You got to do it the other way. So Jordi Alba gets forward, and then I think it was Langley, the left centre back, slides out to deal with Mohamed Salah as best he can.
So they had their contingency plan for Salah.
And then Sergio Busquets drops in, and at times it looked almost like a 3-4-3 for Barcelona. And so because Busquets drops in, Langley slides out, now you have that freedom from Jordi Alba, but because you don't have Mohamed Salah tracking back, theoretically and kind of consistently, Jordi Alba is wide open on that left flank.
Yes. So, I mean, we'll get to the goal maybe a little later, 27th minute goal, but the same pattern for the goal happens in the 9th minute where Vidal pings it out left and Jordi Alba is able to sort of get the ball and play a ball in behind, right? So
for Luis Suarez.
For Luis Suarez. This is a consistent pattern that emerges throughout this game.
It is indeed. And I think that should have been a worrying sign to Liverpool. I think the thing that maybe disguised this, and this is where maybe we're going to get a little bit of stick, is that it did feel like...
From whom?
Just maybe Liverpool fans, maybe neutrals, and maybe some people who cover this for themselves, because the consensus opinion seemed to be Liverpool were the better team and had better chances. Barcelona are just kind of ruthlessly efficient, and they got the goals.
I've seen that a lot. I'm not sure that's true.
I'm not sure it's true. And I'll be totally honest, I genuinely don't know if this is like a Captain Hindsight moment of we watch it again knowing the results and things look differently. But I really tried to watch this one from a neutral standpoint. Even knowing the result, I was trying to see like, okay, are we sort of overestimating Barcelona knowing the scoreline? And I don't think we were. I think that Liverpool got some chances, don't get me wrong. But I do think that for the most part, they were Barcelona getting bodies behind the ball, Busquets staying back. Even Langley, when he knew he wasn't going to be a kind of threat to match Salah's pace, would just try to stand him up, just try to slow him down. And that little bit of delay.
Maybe just take a yellow card. Yeah.
And I do think that Barcelona did a very good job of limiting the opportunities Liverpool had. Yes, they had opportunities. Salah hits the post, but it wasn't quite as clear-cut as I think it might have been to me when I first watched this game.
I agree. I think you see a lot of Liverpool having attacking moves, but here, this is, I think, the key to the game. Barcelona were actually quite conservative.
Yeah.
They always had the back four. Jordi Alba was like the wild card who would go charging forward, but as you said, then Lenglet would slide over to make sure Salah's taken care of. Busquets would sort of play centre-back. Even when that didn't happen, Busquets and Vidal and Rakitic, you did not see them go charging forward, right? You didn't see them go charging forward at all. So that means that Barca always had sort of three midfielders like at the top of the box and their defenders. And here's the key. All their defenders made every play they needed to make. Like, how many times did you see Busquets step out and Liverpool were trying to do one of those nice, like, pass, flick kind of moves. Busquets would step into it and take it. Yeah. Or Piqué would like make a block tackle or a poke tackle on somebody, or Lenglet would. I think Barcelona were excellent defensively because they didn't expose themselves. I think you spotted this on the rewatch. That maybe the reason Barca don't expose themselves is because they know Liverpool are great on the sort of counter-attack or the counter-attack. Yeah. Never open yourself up to that by committing too many men forward, and Liverpool can never have wide open spaces to attack you. Instead, they're coming at you when you've got bodies behind the ball and you've got very talented defensive bodies.
Yeah, absolutely.
I bit my tongue.
It's all good. While you recover from that, I'll say no, but I completely agree, because I think what kept standing out to me, what I kept being confused by, and I think what maybe swayed me to thinking like, oh, Liverpool are totally manipulating this game and being the much stronger side, is that they did have more possession and they did look sort of like with more possession intent going forward, I guess. Yeah. And I kept being confused as to why Barcelona would get the ball and it felt like play a 30-yard ball forward. The one that stands out, it might have been in the second half, but it still stands out to me, is Leo Messi trying to play a 20-yard ball on the ground, and it's just very easily intercepted. Yeah. And that's not a thing you usually see. And so I found myself wondering, why are Barcelona playing so direct? Why do they kind of keep looking long all the time? And I think, that's the answer, is that they didn't want to get caught in possession. They didn't want to give Liverpool cheap opportunities, to the extent that I would say the one chance Liverpool, like the biggest chance Liverpool had when Salah hits the post, that's when Busquets tries to do that weird like bicycle kick and completely whiffs it. Yeah. And so it's a misplay by Barcelona in their own 18.
One bad play of the whole game, maybe? He was absolutely perfect apart from that.
I would say, pretty much, I think so. But so I guess that's why it stood out to me, is like the one time they were kind of caught doing something overly elaborate, they almost got scored on. And so it makes sense then why, again, Barcelona, I think conservative, didn't want to get caught in possession, didn't want to give up a cheap goal. But as a result, I think it made Liverpool look a more confident team. Again, Liverpool happy in possession, very capable in possession, looked a very good team. But I do think that it wasn't quite so much like Liverpool doing this and Barcelona had no answer for it. It was Barcelona sort of being like, no, please, have the ball, keep coming at us, bring more people forward, bring another center back forward, bring another defender forward, and now we'll counterattack.
So Barcelona decided to play, by keeping them back, they decided to play against sort of like an Arsene Wenger Arsenal era type team, right? Where there's lots of nice passing and moving, but there's no gaps to exploit, as opposed to being a sort of all guns blazing, sending everybody forward, leave Liverpool space to exploit.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah. And then I think because because if you don't do that, you invite Liverpool forward, and then Liverpool leave you space to exploit.
Yes.
And I would almost go so far, maybe this is too much, but to say like, I don't want to get to the goal yet, but I'll say when we do get to the goal, I almost wonder if there's an element of rope-a-dope about it, that like Liverpool is so used to having these attacking options and getting the ball in Barcelona's half that suddenly when Barcelona spring this counterattack on them, I think they're a little bit slow to respond. I think there are other factors to that.
Yeah.
But I do wonder if an element of that is that it's the one time Barcelona do sort of spread the field, switch it from left to right and back and forth, and then play a long ball over the top. And I think Liverpool aren't quite ready for it.
I also, before we get to the goal, I want to talk about what Liverpool did in midfield, which I thought was kind of interesting. When Barcelona had the ball, there were moments of pressing, but it wasn't the consistent thing that Liverpool did. No. I would argue that what they did for the most part is had three central midfielders, Fabinho, not Wijnaldum, so Fabinho, Milner and Keita to begin with. And they would do a thing that Liverpool often do, which is stay somewhat narrow in central midfield. And I think the goal there was to sort of barricade the balls into Leo Messi. Because Leo Messi was, when Barcelona attacked, he's theoretically like on the right and Coutinho's on the left and Suarez is in the middle.
Theoretically being the operative word.
But he would keep coming essentially underneath Suarez into what they call zone 14, right? That sort of space between defence and the midfield. And I think Liverpool's plan was just get enough people, Fabinho especially because he's the central one, but then have enough bodies blocking the path into Messi in that attacking midfield spot. And it mostly worked. But against Leo Messi, it can't mostly work.
No,
it has to 100% work, or you're dead.
Exactly, and we can get to later on when it starts to not work is when Messi starts to score. But I also think that like there were plenty of times in the first half when we saw Messi take up that position, and it's not that he would then get the ball and suddenly like Fabinho wasn't doing a good job of blocking off Messi, or those central midfielders weren't tight enough. It was simply that we've seen the warning signs before. We've seen the familiar symptoms of Leo Messi's about to get the ball and score, and that's one of them. That if you have your four defenders back and then your three midfielders ahead of them, and there's a 15-yard gap between the two, and Leo Messi's standing in it, and Luis Suarez is standing 5 yards behind your defensive line,
just go home. It's over.
That is sort of that like, ooh, this is when they start to do those things.
And if Busquets has the ball and is like about to play a pass through those lines, it's over for you.
Yeah, we're essentially describing the second goal.
I think so. Yes,
pretty much.
We'll get into the detail on that maybe when we get. Any other big tactical things before we move on to the first goal?
Yes, sort of, because one other thing that I think is worth noting, because I think it directly factors into the goal, is as we talked about. Yes, because as we talked about, the kind of right central midfielder is James Milner, and I think he was very alert to Jordi Alba making that run.
You mean Jordi Alba?
Excuse me, Jordi Alba. I apologize. I told you I'd do it like 3 or 4 times. Off air, mind you. But I think it was Coutinho was kind of like going to be making the run forward. They knew that, and so that was Joe Gomez.
Yeah.
The concern then is who marks Jordi Alba and who's paying attention to him. And I do think that James Milner would slide wide a little bit on occasion to just sort of remind Barcelona, like, I can make a play on that ball. You don't want to play to him. And the times that he didn't, there were a few times when he didn't get out there quickly enough in the first half. That's when Jordi Alba would get the ball in very attacking spaces. There's the one that I think is cut out very late, or like it's like a last little like poke tackle by I think Joel Matip.
Matip has to come across and stop Messi getting to the ball.
Yeah,
right? Yeah.
But there are those moments when suddenly Jordi Alba is wide open in space down the left-hand side.
But you're right, Milner scurries over there pretty quickly. Like he's got that instruction, right? Stay central, block off the space to Messi. But I think he's also just, a smart enough and an athletic enough player to know, all right, Jordi Alba's coming down here. Mo Salah hasn't come with him because maybe that's not his assignment, because Mo Salah's assignment is stay like attacking-wise ahead of Jordi Alba for the counter. So I'm going to have to abandon this central spot, go close down Jordi Alba, because otherwise there's trouble.
Yes,
right?
And so what we're setting the stage for is that in the 19th minute, Naby Keita tries to kind of like stretch out and get a block on, I think, Coutinho clearing a ball in Barcelona's box.
It's after a Liverpool corner.
And that's where it looks like he pulls his groin. He kind of runs around with a little bit of discomfort for a few minutes. Then he's down, then he gets treatment, then he's subbed off. Liverpool go down to 10 men for a period of time and look okay in that situation.
Yeah, actually, I'm slightly confused about that. Why? Because it's obvious that Keita was definitely not coming back on, right? He had that grimace on his face, and I think I even saw the physios doing the rolling fingers, which means you're subbing off, or you communicate to the bench, he's subbing off. And I know Jordan Henderson doesn't have a long time to warm up, right? I see him run up and down a couple of times. But still, wouldn't you send him on rather than play with 10 men for a few minutes?
The only thing I can think is that maybe it's that little extra level of caution of we'll be more conservative for 4 or 5 minutes, but if we have to burn a sub in the first half due to injury, we don't want to have to burn a second sub due to injury. So do an abbreviated but more full warm-up so that we don't have Jordan Henderson come on, run a sprint, and pull a hamstring, and then we're in way bigger of an issue. So after a few minutes, I think 24th minute is when I think Henderson eventually comes on.
Yeah, so it's like 3 or 4 minutes of 10 men, right?
Yeah, but the reason why we're kind of emphasizing this is because what happens is when Henderson comes on, he goes to where James Milner was. James Milner goes over to where Naby Keita was on the left side, and now it's Jordan Henderson who has to slide out.
And it really is really important because so much of Barcelona's attacking threat was down that left side, right? Which is weird because Messi's kind of on the right, but because Messi drifts centrally and because Sergio Roberto doesn't get forward all that much, it's really all about Coutinho, Jordi Alba, Suarez being over there. That's where the trouble is, right? So your right centre mid, especially when your right winger Mohamed Salah is not really coming back, there's a lot of pressure on that right centre mid.
There is.
And I would double down on saying Jordan Henderson, when he comes in, he's a little slow to pick up the pace of the game. I'm not even saying that in a blamey kind of way. I think just coming in without too much warm-up to face Barcelona, it's a lot to ask.
It is. And then we saw it. We saw, like, live, we saw a warning. You spotted the warning sign. Watching it again, there was another one. The first one is that Jordan Henderson comes in and immediately gets megged. And to me, that's like he's just running out to try to make a play. But he gets megged because moments before that, he leaves his spot and goes charging out and tries to do this press all by himself.
I never see that from Liverpool. Liverpool looks so good about pressing triggers, right? And especially in this game, I think the plan was we don't press, but when we do, we all do it. That's the plan, right? But normally it starts with Firmino or it starts with Sadio Mane. You don't have one of the midfielders come charging past the attackers to do a one-man press. Liverpool never do that.
No.
So it was really weird that Jordan Henderson did that.
It is. But so to me, when we watched it again, that was he's not quite aware of what they're trying to do. And then because he then has to sprint back 30 yards, he's now a little bit more out of breath and a little bit more fatigued. And
a little bit wider of leg.
Exactly. And so he gets megged. And so it's not like that leads to the goal, but it's just those moments of he is not quite as disciplined to the system. And maybe that's the other thing they were trying to do quickly is hey, reminder, we're doing something different. Make sure you know what you're doing.
Maybe that's why he overcompensates, and that's why he's not out there quick enough to cover Jordi Alba.
Yes, but we say all that to say
we're edging towards the goal.
It does factor into the goal. Should we get to the goal or should we get to today's sponsor? I leave it to you, my friend.
I always want to do today's sponsor.
All right.
Especially because today's sponsor is Away Days, awaydaysfootball.com. They are, of course, one of our favourite sponsors because they're a recurring sponsor.
Is that why they're our favourite?
Also because they do really good stuff.
They do, and it's pretty cool stuff. Should we talk about the mystery kits for a moment?
Yes,
because it's
mystery kits first.
Every time I explain this to somebody, there's a pause, and then they're like, that's a very cool idea.
Isn't it one of those ideas that everyone's like, why didn't someone do that before?
Yeah.
Away Days got in there first.
Basically, you go in there, you buy a mystery, you buy a mystery kit. That's all it is. You don't know who it's going to be. You don't know from what league it's going to be. All you know is that it's not going to be Man United or PSG or Arsenal or Bayern Munich. It's going to be a somewhat smaller club to very smaller club.
It could be super obscure.
Yeah.
Or it could be like EFL Championship or, say, a big team in Greece.
Benfica.
Or it could be Benfica. Did you get a Benfica one?
I got Benfica and River.
Oh, that's nice. Yeah. That's nice. I got Real Oviedo
Similar color
and
schemes too.
Olympiacos.
Yeah. There you go.
So I think that's a good sort of indicator of the type of team that you might be getting. It is weirdly thrilling opening it up, isn't it?
It really is. And also, as they pointed out, if you're a person who likes to play in a jersey, but maybe you don't want to ruin one of your expensive ones, they also have a damaged clearance mystery kit sale right now. For $15, you can get jerseys that are worth noting. They're not tattered and hanging off of you. They're basically
just one shred of what used to be a jersey.
Yeah, I think he said the description is they're slightly damaged to the damage ranges from not even noticeable to slight.
I see.
So these would be ideal for if you want to go out and play, you want to go out and have a kick around, or you want to wear it to go running. The Monument 10K that happened a month ago, I wore my Benfica jersey for that. So if I had the slightly damaged one, I may have worn that one.
All right. I do know that our discount code, which we'll reveal at the end of the ad, you probably can guess it though, does work on the mystery kits. I don't know if it works on the slightly damaged mystery kits, but it's still a good deal. Maybe if you get the slightly damaged one and you can't use the discount code, maybe just add a little note in the box hey, I heard this on Total Soccer Show.
Yes.
Advertising works.
Yeah, sure. One you can definitely use it on is their collaboration with Uhlsport.
Yes.
I learned how to pronounce that brand before we started recording because I've always gone Uhlsport, and then it occurred to me that that's one of those that I think I decided when I was 10 that's how you pronounce it, and I was wrong because 7-year-old Taylor was often wrong.
So this is a couple of German jerseys, right? That,
FC Köln and FC Kaiserslautern.
All right, very nice.
Is that how you pronounce them? Yeah.
My understanding as well that this would normally be $100 to buy one of those Bundesliga jerseys.
Yeah.
it's $65 because of the deal that Away Days have done with All Sport.
Exactly. And that's worth noting there is that, like, if you're confused, like, wait, you were talking about mystery kits and now you're talking about an actual, like, clubs, that's because this is a separate thing. Yeah, yes. It's a kind of an agreement they have with All Sport to promote their jerseys from time to time.
Away Days has a lot of things going on, right?
They
There's the mystery kits, there's the All Sport, there's the American Kit Collection, which we've talked about separately. Look into that if you're interested in sort of lower league American kits. But there's also just Away Days brand clothes, right? Yeah. They have their T-shirts, their beanies, their hoodies, all that kind of stuff. Really nice logo, awaydaysfootball.com.
And for all of that variety of stuff, you can get it. You can get it at a discount, 15% off by using the code. You kind of made reference to it earlier, but you didn't give it away.
It's the classic one, TSS.
There it is, TSS at awaydaysfootball.com, 15% off using the code TSS.
We'll put a link to awaydaysfootball.com in the show notes. You should be able to remember it, but we'll put it just so you can click it if you want to.
We're that kind.
And a reminder that it's TSS for 15% off. Thank you to Away Days for sponsoring today's show. Should we get back to Liverpool's Away Day?
We should, because, again, Henderson comes on 24th minute. Goal conceded in the 26th. Again, not necessarily saying it's all Henderson's fault.
He's involved.
But it is that I think he comes on and is maybe slightly less disciplined when it comes to when he needs to slide out to help cover.
We were saying earlier that maybe he overcompensated for his charging around earlier by not sliding out when he should have.
Yes,
right?
Because basically it's Arturo Vidal getting the ball on the right central side for Barcelona. Yep. We said this kind of happened in the 9th or 10th minute. It happens again here. He gets the ball. He spreads it wide to Coutinho. Coutinho drops it to Jordi Alba. Third time.
Good job.
I'll do it from here on. Jordi Alba.
You caught it, unlike Mohamed Salah.
Beautiful. There we go. That's another part of this analysis. Jordi Alba plays in Luis Suarez, and it's a great finish from Luis Suarez. When we watch this live, because we don't always like break it down 1,000 times as it happens, I was kind of content to say, like, that is an undefendable ball from Jordi Alba because it splits the defenders. He spots like Luis Suarez when he's making a run that the defenders haven't even noticed yet.
Suarez points as well. Suarez calls it essentially, and Alba just serves it up perfectly. It's like if you ordered in a restaurant and the dinner came immediately and it was absolutely perfect.
Yeah, because sometimes when the food comes too quickly, you have that like, this was someone else's food and they sent it back and now you're giving it to me. That was too fast.
No, this order was specific for Suarez and it was immediate.
And
25% tip.
And I also want to add, yes. I also want to add, though, I guess Alba gets the 25% tip for an excellent ball, but Suarez also gets a tip because on first viewing, it looks like he just kind of slides in, gets a foot to it, and puts it on frame. And because it's such a good ball, there's not much that Becker can do about it. I always call him Becker now, not Alisson. He's Becker, especially when he wears that jersey. He's Becker.
Sort of mid-career Ted Danson.
Yes, exactly. But when you watch it again, it's actually it's not Salah, Suarez sliding in, but he like redirects with the inside of his foot. Like he opens up his foot to actually in-step finish this while sliding.
Yes, it's not just get on the end of it and hope for the best. It is in a weird, like uncomfortable position and still doing the perfect striker thing of using your instep to direct it exactly where you want to go.
And I want to say, like, I'm not trying to take shots, or I don't want to make Liverpool fans sad, but like the reason why I'm kind of pointing out that it's not just like, oh, he gets a foot on the end of it and it goes in, is that I don't think that would have been enough because it's still, like, Alisson is in a good enough position that he can probably make a play on this. Yeah. And I contrast it with in the 59th minute for Liverpool when there's like the dummy and James Milner takes it with the instep. He hits it more or less right at Ter Stegen. Ter Stegen's able to take it cleanly.
Maybe Milner should have tried sliding.
Then maybe that would have made the difference. So I think it's an excellent bit of finishing from Luis Suarez. But as we are wont to do, we went back and watched, and we did notice few other little things that definitely factor into this one.
So it's Jordi Alba's run is one of the big things, right? So when Vidal plays this sort of crossfield ball to Coutinho, who's kind of marked by Joe Gomez, right? Coutinho can drop it to Jordi Alba because no one is marking Jordi Alba. And if you watch it back, Alba is always like attacking side of Mohamed Salah, but Mohamed Salah spots him.
Yep.
And then when the ball to Coutinho goes in, Alba starts to sprint, and Salah just kind of jogs. He never quite gets there. In the end, it's Jordan Henderson gets there first and tries to close down the cross. Right?
And this is where I genuinely don't know the answer to this, and I don't necessarily feel comfortable taking like a guess as to what it is. But I will say that Salah does look like he comes a little bit more central to mark, I believe it's Rakitic, who has stayed deep. And I do wonder now.
And Henderson's just loose, right?
And I do wonder now if that's James Milner, if he is instantly on his horse to go mark Jordi Alba. But because it's Henderson, he's sort of looking and thinking like, oh, Salah's going to track him. I don't quite need to worry about that. So I do wonder if maybe that's the difference. I don't necessarily know if it's Henderson who should be going to Alba or if it's Salah who should have followed. The other one, which you pointed out, is that I also think there's an element of distraction at play here because Lionel Messi's on the field, and that always plays a part.
He's kind of over on that left side, right? And everybody's hyper aware of him, including Joe Gomez, I think, and Joel Matip, and Jordan Henderson is watching. Maybe that's the reason he doesn't go, is that he's trying to screen the pass into Leo Messi, who's in that sort of attacking midfield zone. It's one of these elements. I think we're going to talk about Messi a lot, right? Because he ends up scoring the next 2 goals. But just the fear of Messi even getting the ball is so distracting to so many different defenders. And it happens to Liverpool, it happens to other teams that play Barcelona, that it just opens up gaps for everybody else. Yeah. That's one of the keys to Barcelona's attack, I think.
Yeah, and so I think if you suddenly get a little bit distracted by, wait, where's Messi? I want to make sure I'm doing my job. Again, it's not as though James Milner was 100%, I'm sticking with James forever. It's not as though he was like 100% focused on Jordi Alba. It was just if that ball goes wide, he would slide out there. Yeah. But you could tell that
at least the times we saw, right?
Yeah, but you could tell that he was 100% focused on sliding out there when the situation was on. And if you're Jordan Henderson and you're maybe 70% focused on it and 30% focused on Lionel Messi, you're just going to be a step or two slower. And not even saying that then Henderson should have been there faster and should have blocked the ball in from Jordi Alba, but I do wonder then if Henderson is there, does that ball drop as easily to Jordi Alba from Coutinho? Is Alba able to spot Suarez as easily, or does he feel a little bit more pressure and maybe he slows down a little bit more? It's just those little half-second moments of indecision add up to Luis Suarez scoring an excellent goal.
And I would defend Jordan Henderson just in that, like, being dropped into this game with all those things going on, Alba coming on the left, Messi in behind you, like trying to do your midfield job. It's kind of like if we were just dropped into sort of like an advanced math class somewhere where, like in some high-end university, and you just, on your first day, like, hey, you've missed 3 weeks. Oh, and you both have liberal arts degrees? Good luck. You know what I'm saying? It is a little like it's overwhelming. You would expect small mistakes. And the reason I say that is because I kind of think, knowing that Mohamed Salah, even though his assignment is stay attacking side of Jordi Alba, ready for the counter-attack, you can like maybe go at Lenglet or whatever, the space there maybe to exploit because Alba's going to get forward. I think maybe he should have recognised that in this moment, maybe just track Jordi Alba. Yeah. Like sometimes, like Milner does sliding out, you've got to not be the "I was only following orders, sir" guy. You've got to deviate from the plan to prevent something happening.
Yes. Yeah. I would say, though, from this moment until halftime, there's not a lot of deviation from the plan. Liverpool continue to kind of approach the way they have. They're trying to get the ball to Salah on the quick counter. Yeah. This is where you have
Boss
Lenglet.
Have too many numbers back still, though. Yeah.
When they don't, Lenglet picks up a yellow card for kind of intentionally bringing Salah down. He tries it another time and isn't actually able to bring Salah down, but the passes just don't quite come off. And again, I think this is where, to your point, it's not just that, because we did find ourselves wondering, like, why isn't this working? This usually works for Liverpool. They're usually able to find that last pass or that second to last pass that then becomes the last pass.
Yeah, and a weird like flick and a reverse pass from Mane and suddenly someone's in on goal. That's the thing that normally happens, that it looked 70% like it was about to happen, and then it just didn't quite happen. Yeah.
And I think a big part of that is because Barca always had numbers back. Yeah. And I think that's the case at the end of the first half, and it's certainly the case at the beginning of the second half. I think, though, that what Liverpool did in their adjustment in the first 10 or 15 minutes, because I do think that Liverpool had more opportunities and better opportunities to start the second half, is I think Liverpool just kind of were more aggressive from the start. And I know that sounds like an oversimplification, but it can be a huge factor that if you're Barcelona coming out with a 1-0 lead, there's an element of like, okay, now Liverpool are going to be stretched. Maybe they're going to be a little bit nervous. Maybe we can go at them a little bit. And if you're Liverpool and you're on them right away as they were, and you stay on them right away
as they did,
there's a bit more of a press,
right, to start the second half.
I think, again, Barcelona default to play it long. We don't want to get caught in possession. This is when Messi has that pass that goes straight to a Liverpool player, which is, again, not a thing we see. And I think this is when you do see Liverpool get more chances. It's when Salah kind of cuts back inside, gets that shot that's tipped wide for a corner. It's when you have the dummy ball in the 59th minute from Wijnaldum dummies it. Milner gets the instep shot.
It's a great step over, right? That's ever just like leave, essentially, for Milner. And that was really the chance, right? If Milner had put that away, this could have been 1-1. And then maybe Liverpool can sort of shut it down and get out of there with an away goal. And it's an absolutely brilliant result and maybe even a performance. And we'll be talking about this completely differently. I think Ernesto Valverde changes this game by making a defensive substitution at 1-0.
This is the importance of pre-planned substitutions.
Right.
Because I think Barcelona went into halftime and said, we're going to come out, we're going to do the same thing for the next 15 minutes. and then we're going to bring on Semedo. And that's exactly what they did.
So it was Semedo, who's a right back, on for Coutinho, who was like left mid defensively, attacking left side, attacking. On their side, Sergi Roberto. Sergi Roberto. See, you've got Alvaro, I've got Roberto. We all have our crossover. They have him go to left mid, be more defensive, essentially, and they have Semedo sitting at right back and not really get forward. It's just a slightly more defensive change. But it makes a difference.
It makes a massive difference because now, again, this is where from this moment on, this is where you really start to get Barcelona with lots of bodies behind the ball. It becomes that much more difficult for Liverpool to find a way through because even if you get past one, even if you get past two, there's still at sometimes 7 players in the box waiting to defend.
And I've just realised by having Roberto on the left, you shore up that side. Exactly. It's a little harder for Mohamed Salah to find space and attack. And not too long after, Barcelona get their second goal, which really is the killer, right?
It really is.
And the third goal made sure, but I think 2-0 was sort of like,
And it's also one where sometimes it can be like, what's the word I'm looking for? It can be difficult to break down games the way we do because we end up watching stuff a lot for a long time, probably more than a lot of other people do, and I don't mean that as like a brag or and therefore we do more.
No, there's a moment where we're like, are we overdoing this?
Yeah, exactly. And this is one where I went from maybe we're overdoing it to ooh, no, this is actually very important.
Oh, are you saying that because this goal looks like madness? Yeah, I think the commentator said Liverpool got their pockets picked or something.
They got their pockets picked. Oh, Messi with a poacher's goal. How often have we seen him do that? And against the run of play, and it did look, because it was just so chaotic.
Yeah,
it looked like Barcelona just kind of got lucky. Liverpool maybe panicked a little bit. Barcelona kept their composure. Messi ends up with a tap-in. But you go back and watch this, and yes, there are definitely some strange breaks, but those breaks kind of happen within the run of what Barcelona were actively trying to do. Yeah. And I say that just to say that then if you if those breaks change 10% of the sequence, it's still what Barcelona wanted to do.
Yeah.
The one, the key example to this, sorry for going out of order here, but the shot that Suarez has that hits off the post, it comes off of his knee. And that looks really weird that Suarez just happens to get a knee to the ball.
Yeah.
But if you watch it, it's because he's winding up to hit a right-footed volley, and then he realizes, because the ball's taken a slight deflection, again, that 10 to 15%, it's going to my knee instead, so I'll just come through with a volley but hit it with my knee.
Yeah, there's lots of little moments in this. Yeah. I think the reason it looks so scrappy is it looks like Fabinho gets a slide tackle in on Messi, but he actually doesn't. It's Messi with a
outside
very
of the foot.
Clever pass. Oof. And then it goes to Roberto, and I can't remember who the Liverpool defender is, but they kind of both connect at the same time. But Roberto was going to square it to Suarez anyway, but instead it kind of pops up because there's a half tackle, hence the knee. And then there's Messi just running it into the empty net. But not just because it was just lucky, it was because Messi was alive to the situation, right?
That's the thing that I find...
Actually, Barcelona excellent and Liverpool desperation, making it look chaotic, but Barcelona still literally got it over the line.
Yeah, true. and there are 2 key components to this one. One of them I'll say is what you've just said. And it's what stands out. It's what makes Lionel Messi amongst the many, 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 many things that make him an amazing soccer player and way better at soccer than I am. One of them is this thing that he does, which is he never switches off. And I genuinely don't know how you do that. Because in this sequence, he has a great outside of the foot, left-footed pass. It's clearly trying to find Sergi Roberto, who then is trying to pass to Luis Suarez for the volley. And I think it's such a good pass, and it's also because Messi is now running away from goal kind of diagonally. The ball's been played reverse behind him. I think a lot of forwards would do that pass and then sort of do the hop. What's going to happen? Oh, I want to watch. Are we going to score?
Yeah.
Not Lionel Messi.
Tracking,
continues to run.
Right?
And not only does
tiny foot movements all the time. And not because he has tiny feet, but because he's taking little steps to adjust. Yeah.
And also the key thing there is not just adjusting, not just tracking, but also managing to get himself goal side. And that's the difference here.
Virgil van
Dijk is that Virgil van Dijk is kind of watching the sequence. He's ball watching. Don't mean that critically. It's what you would do in that moment. But Lionel Messi is just alive to it, as you said. But he gets goal side. He tracks the run. He gets back into a position where no one sees him coming.
Should Van Dijk have been more alive?
Probably.
This? I kind of think when Suarez knees that ball, I think Van Dijk is goal.
Yep.
And kind of stops. And I think almost I can't remember if his hands are on his knees in sadness immediately or after Messi runs it in. But if he'd done what Messi did and just stayed alive and tracked Messi, then it's Van Dijk versus Messi in a battle of strength to maybe head it out of the 6-yard box, and I'd back Van Dijk every time.
I mean, I would too. I think it's tough because we're talking seconds here. Yeah. It's not a whole long passage of play. It's from the time Messi plays that ball until the time Messi chests it down and then passes it into the goal. It's not more than a couple seconds, and so it's tough if you're a defender to be alive to everything. It always benefits the attacker because you don't have to worry about defending yourself.
Yeah.
So I think that works very, very well for him. But I also also think that this is a thing that you noted. The reason why all of this starts is not just because Lionel Messi is brilliant, it's because Sergio Busquets is Sergio Busquets.
Yeah, so this is the thing we talked about where Messi was trying to get in behind the three Liverpool midfielders and ahead of the defenders, right? And I think it starts with, isn't Van Dijk marking Messi?
Yes.
Messi starts doing that thing where he drifts away from the centre-backs and then you're left with a decision, do I go with him or do I let him go? Van Dijk makes the decision to let Messi go so that he can hold the back four, right? Which isn't the wrong decision, because I think what's supposed to happen in that moment is then Fabinho especially is meant to screen the pass into Messi, right? And I think Fabinho thinks he's doing that, but Sergio Busquets outwits him, right? Is it my memory of this is that Busquets almost shapes like he's going to pass out wide right, and just Fabinho bites on it a little bit,
just a little tiny
just
bit.
a little bit, but enough to open the gap, and then Busquets kind of just swivels on one foot and plays the right-footed pass. Sort of on the inside of Fabinho, but into the feet of Leo Messi. And then it's Fabinho in a foot race to try and get up and get back and make that desperate lunge tackle on Leo Messi. And it's just too late.
But yeah, as soon as you kind of let Leo Messi receive that ball in space, that's the last thing you want. You want Messi trying to make space, not already have space. And so, yeah, from then on, it's kind of a scramble from Liverpool. And that's why I do think that factors into why this goal looks so scrambly. But I think if you go back and look at it again a couple times, it becomes a much more nuanced and overall well-worked goal from Barcelona.
I think it's really worth underlining. I think Busquets was maybe I'm not 100% sure on this, but I would call him maybe the man of the match.
I mean, Lionel Messi would like a word with you.
So much defending and then so many smart little turns and then this pass to really break it open. I think Busquets was absolutely excellent. One other little side note, we forgot to mention, on the first goal, the Luis Suarez sliding goal, it looks like maybe Virgil van Dijk is at fault playing Suarez onside. We went back and watched. He wasn't. Suarez is so good at the offside trap. He times it. He times that run so that he is at least level with Joel Matip.
And maybe even Joe
slightly
Gomez.
behind. And maybe Joe Gomez, as Jordi Alba plays that ball. So Van Dijk slightly at fault for the second goal for not being as alive as Messi the whole time. Definitely not at fault for the first goal, because at least in terms of playing Suarez onside.
And then
just wanted to get that in there.
Certainly not at fault for the third goal either, Virgil van Dijk. Because I think this is Fabinho blocking off Lionel Messi. He gets a yellow card for it. I think
is Messi about to play like a 1-2?
I think so.
Yeah, and Fabinho just blocks the run by running into Messi. Or does Messi run into Fabinho?
I mean, I think Fabinho definitely takes a step wider than he needs to.
Yeah.
So I do think he kind of invites the contact. I do enjoy that. I feel like Lionel Messi has had this done to him so many times that he's like, all right, I'm going to come at you full speed and I'm going to raise my arms and it's still going to be a foul on you. And it was. And he gets the free kick. It's about 29-30 yards from goal. And it's just Lionel Messi. And that's kind of what, like, I don't want to go like all, I don't know, halftime analysis, what, he's just incredible.
Yeah, don't use the name of a grass-eating animal.
I will not. But what I will say is that there was an air of inevitability about this, that as soon as the second goes in, you and I felt like, this is bad for Liverpool. Yeah. And as soon as this foul happened, we both thought, this is 3-0.
It's weird, right?
Yeah.
We definitely both had that feeling. Even though
literally, I want to emphasize, it wasn't like we just thought it and like then it happened and now we're saying we both said like this is 3-0. Yeah. Like it's just it felt.
I think before he took the free kick, we were talking about what we're going to do on next Tuesday's show if this game is over.
Yep.
Right? Mm-hmm. But that's how sort of weirdly we felt like this was happening.
Yep. And he puts it in.
Yeah. I mean, that's not credit to us, by the way. I think that is that's a way of praising Lionel Messi, right? Yep. You've just got this feeling that it's going to happen, and it did.
Yep. And maybe also because it's like, he knows the announcers are going to be like, it's kind of a fluke, a poacher's goal for the second goal, even though it wasn't. So, fine, I'll cement it here. And that he does. Buries it from 30 yards out, top corner, puts like a little bit of bend on it, but it's just perfectly hit. There was some debate as to whether or not there's a deflection on this. We watched that again. I would say I don't think there is. It's confusing because it's Joe Gomez on the end of the wall for Liverpool. It jumps up, and it does look for a moment like it kind of maybe skims his shoulder. I think it's because he feels the ball go past him, and so he kind of throws that shoulder up.
I think he's trying to get a shoulder to it just to block it in some way, and he just misses by what must be 2 millimeters. Maybe.
Yeah, and so maybe it skims his shoulder, maybe it skims the jersey. You don't see any like ripple, as an example. You just kind of see his jersey move only when he throws the shoulder.
Yeah.
So I think in the end, it's just a perfectly hit free kick.
Can we talk about Leo Messi's free kicks? I feel like it's a huge part of his game. It's a huge part of his goal scoring record. It's a huge part of how he sort of destroys teams by, this was the killer goal, right? I said the second one was the killer. This is the bury you goal. But but we don't weirdly talk about Leo Messi's free kicks that much. Is it just because he does so many other things?
Yeah.
Or is it because, here's my theory, his free kicks are weirdly not that flash. Like, they don't bend in a big noticeable way. It's almost just like he's found this weird balance between just enough bend to get up and down and around and over the wall, but without sacrificing much in terms of pace. So he seems to just sort of zip into the top corners really accurately. And then there's not much to say about them.
I feel like you've just given away what makes it's not like all that is probably accurate. The thing that I think is so important about this goal is that it is literally in like the perfect top corner, in a spot where there's really nothing Alisson can do about it. In this case, he's Becker again, because Becker has set the wall up right. He is in the right position. It's just that if you hit that ball there, he has to get all the way across the goal, get it full stretch to cover the very top corner, and that's almost impossible to do. And it requires you to immediately be alert to where that ball is going to be and be able to cover that ground. And even then, you might still not be able to get it. And I think that's what makes it so special.
So is it different to other free kick takers?
I think it's just his accuracy. Yeah. Honestly, I think it's just that he's able to hit it that well in that exact spot.
Oof. All right, 3-0.
He good.
Then there's the Mohamed Salah chance. It's Firmino actually has a decent contribution for someone who looks like he's running in sand. I think for this chance he sort of has the initial flick on, and then he has the at the far post he has this weird shot that I think he puts through Ter Stegen's legs.
He does,
and he's just deflected off the line by Rakitic. I want to say. Then Jordi Alba charges Mohamed Salah, who's arriving at the far post, and the left-footed Egyptian hits it with his right foot, hits the post.
Yep. And I think that's the biggest part of that.
I think so too.
I think it's all, and I do also think it's one of those where there's probably just a little bit too much time to think about, I better put this on frame because the goalkeeper's out, and instead he hits it off the post.
Do you think he was trying to sort of just go inside the post and instead hits the post?
Yeah, because I wondered if Jordi Alba put him off at all. And I take your point that it is Jordi Alba trying desperately to make a play on the ball, but like he is just getting past like the goal line because he was in the goal, running out of the goal when the shot hits the post. Yeah. So I think, it's just Salah head down, trying to put it on frame. It is a slightly tight angle, but still probably should put it on frame. But, Salah overall I thought had a very good game, just couldn't get the goal. So I feel for him and I feel for Liverpool fans because there were moments when it felt like, they're going to get that goal. They are going to get that away goal. And then there were moments when it felt like they better get that away goal. This was one of those.
Okay, so we think second leg is going to be a big ask, right? We'll still watch, but maybe there's a good chance it's like 1-0 Liverpool or 1-1 or something like that, and this doesn't go anywhere.
Yeah, I think, let me just jump in to say, and I agree with that because we said this near the end of the first half, and I say it again now. This didn't feel like a game where even though Liverpool lost, they came away thinking, we can get at that. That's a vulnerability from Barcelona that we figured out, that we were able to exploit, and it didn't work.
If anything, they just learned that maybe trying to get in behind Jordi Alba is the wrong thing and you should just track him.
So, exactly. And so that's where I sort of have a more pessimistic outlook for Liverpool is that I don't know if they come out of this with okay, we just got to do this and overload this and make this happen and then we're fine. I think they have to kind of go back to the drawing board a little bit and try to figure out another plan for how to get goals on Barcelona.
Okay, another $1 million question. Given how it went, could Klopp have done anything different that could have been more successful? Apart from sort of not have Firmino get injured in the warm-up, which I think is obviously a big part of this, right?
I mean, I think
fail the fitness
Yeah,
test.
exactly. Yeah. I mean, honestly, I think that's a huge problem, and then I think the injury to Naby Keita compounds it. And I don't think there's anything he really could have done about that. And I also think that when you look at what Liverpool had to bring off the bench, Divock Origi substitutes on. As we said, Firmino comes on later, but I don't know if either one of them...
I think Origi comes on after Firmino.
Okay, but all I'm saying is that I don't know if I would have started Origi because Firmino couldn't go.
What about just going super defensive at the Camp Nou? What if it's not a thing Liverpool do often, right? But what if they'd gone like with a 5-4-1 and we just put everybody behind and maybe we hit on the counter?
I mean, we thought there was a chance when we looked at the lineup that maybe that's what they were going to do. They were going to have 3 center backs and play some wing backs.
Because of Gomez right back,
But then you're kind of fundamentally changing what you do, and that in and of itself is a risk. We've seen Guardiola do that on multiple occasions, and it kind of all blows up in his face. So it's sort of damned if you do, damned if you don't for Jurgen Klopp. I'm inclined to say no. I think he kind of did what he had to do.
So do what you do best, right? Yeah. And it turns out Barcelona, I think I said this to you during the show, that during the game, that Barcelona do a similar-ish thing to Liverpool. They just do it like, I don't know, 10, 15% better because of the quality of players. Like literally Coutinho left Liverpool for Barcelona. Yeah. And I think in the end, that's the difference, right? Is that it's just that slight difference in higher quality.
Yeah.
I know it's not great analysis, but when teams are doing similar things, I sort of think it is. Like Robertson going forward is great and great things happen, but Jordi Alba going forward is just that bit better. Right?
Yeah.
Messi is that bit better than Mohamed Salah.
Yes. I think, that's definitely a weird thing to say, but it's accurate. And then I also think we haven't talked much, if at all, about Sadio Mane, and I found myself wondering, could you have started Xherdan Shaqiri, who does seem to be a player who has seen his minutes obviously fall off.
Yeah.
But if you do that, it probably means Salah goes central, maybe Mane goes central, and I think both of them looked very good where they were. Mane caused problems. He definitely outran Sergio Roberto and kind of cut on him on a couple of occasions. It's Mane who gets the ball tackled away, I think, by Langley, that leads to the Firmino shot that then leads to Salah hitting the post.
He was so bright and full of ideas, right?
And so I don't think moving them out of position would have helped. So then that means you're starting Xherdan Shaqiri as your center forward. I don't know if that's the best idea. So I do think your options are kind of limited if you're given Klopp.
Oh, well. So we'll see what happens on Tuesday.
It's why I'm happy I'm not in his position.
Yeah, but I think Ajax Spurs is maybe the more interesting game at this point, right?
Hey, you never know.
You never know. All right. Speaking of the future, there are lots of exciting young players to talk about.
That there are, my friend.
As we get our reports from the Total Soccer Show Scouting Network. Would you like to go first?
Many reports to get to. I will certainly go first. Right. Jeff and Sam Huffman scouting Mukwele Akele, the 22-year-old American midfielder for Villarreal B.
I'm excited for this update. I want to know how Mukwele Akele is doing.
Well, you shall soon find out. Mukwele has had a very solid transition to the Villarreal B team from the Villarreal C team. Yeah. He has appeared in 25 of 34 games, starting about half of those, and has looked entirely comfortable at this level, continuing to show good speed and on-the-ball skills. He also has 3 goals, not too shabby. Villarreal B are currently playing in the Spanish 3rd Division, but they're in a playoff spot for promotion to the 2nd Division, so even if he stays with the B team next year, he may get to face another step up in competition.
Okay, I have learned to keep an eye on Villarreal B's playoff push.
100% guarantee you don't do that.
Right. We'll see. Okay, next time we
got some other stuff going on.
Next time we get an Akele scouting report, I'll be ahead of it and I'll know what's going on with Villarreal.
Sure.
Ryan Mark is scouting Alfonso Ocampo Chavez, the other AOC, 17-year-old American forward for the Tacoma Defiance, which, if you don't know, is the sort of rebranded Seattle Sounders too. Ryan says, "Hello, AOC." 6 goals in 5 games, 3 game winners and a hat-trick.
Yep.
Helped lead the Sounders to a Generation Adidas Cup championship. Oh, this is the Sounders U17 team. He also got the assist on the game winner in extra time against Valencia in the final. He was as good on the pitch as Bobby Warshaw's unbuttoned shirt was bad in the commentary booth.
If you want to hear more about Ocampo Chavez, I think Travis and I have talked about him copious amounts on the last 2 episodes of the Top Drawer Soccer Show.
Wonderful. Also, if you want more on the Generation Adidas Cup, there was a Scuffed podcast with Bobby Warshaw and David Gass where they got into it as well.
Right. Yeah. There we go. Mazakine Wagner scouting Andre Onana, the 23-year-old Cameroonian goalkeeper for Ajax.
Oh, yeah.
Or as my wife continues to call them, Ajax. Andre Onana held the line flawlessly on Tuesday, maintaining a shutout against admittedly Kane and sonless Tottenham, and in so doing, managed to make history as the first African goalkeeper to ever compete in a Champions League semi-final.
Did not know that.
Nor did I.
Arthur Halliday is scouting Kobe Hernandez Foster. This is a kid I'm excited about. 16-year-old American defender for the LA Galaxy 2. Arthur says KHF was recently called up to the US Under-17 roster for the CONCACAF U17 Championship, where he looks set to start at left back. KHF captained and played the full 90 for Los Dos, that's the Galaxy second team, in their first game of 2019, a 4-1 loss. A loss for Los Dos, where KHF looked dangerous but suffered from lapses in focus and a few positional mistakes.
And if you want to hear more about Kobe Hernandez Foster and that U17 roster, you can listen to last week's episode of the Top Drawer Soccer Show, where Travis and I basically came up with mostly Travis's, starting 11 for the U17 national team.
And the roster is out now, right? Rafael Vicky announced it a couple of days ago.
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
James Knowles scouting Edwin Cerrillo, the 18-year-old Mexican-American midfielder for FC Dallas. Cerrillo is a new homegrown signing for FC Dallas this season and has cemented himself as their starting holding midfielder. Cerrillo's strengths include harrying attackers and breaking up plays. He's also been a good first link between defense and midfield for a Dallas side that highly values maintaining possession with passes on the ground. With his current form, he has likely possibly played his way into consideration for the US U20 national team for the upcoming World Cup in Poland, which would be the first time he'd have been called up to the youth national team.
That roster is coming soon, right? I think this week, maybe Friday, we hope that Tab Ramos names his U20 World Cup roster.
Lots of rosters getting named this week.
And I want to say the actual tournament is this month.
That might could be.
It's later this month.
That could be. Yes.
Get excited.
Oh, it's May now, isn't it? Yes, that's definitely true.
That's weird, right?
Yeah.
Did May come real fast?
May happened.
May happened. Richie Garcia
Unlike
is scouting Emerson Hyndman. Do you know the Emerson Hyndman news?
I do.
The 22-year-old American midfielder for AFC Bournemouth. Richie says it seems that Eddie Howe was searching through his lost and found box and located an Emerson Hyndman in it. As a result, Hyndman received his first Premier League minutes of the season, coming on in the 53rd minute in a 3-3 draw against Southampton. Emerson did not make any significant negative or positive contributions to the game.
There we go. Perfect.
Is that good? That's not good, right?
Not so much, no. John Ramaswamy, scouting Sam Rogers, 19-year-old American defender on loan at the Tacoma Defiance from Seattle. Big Sam made his first appearance of the season after returning from an injury that had sidelined him since the start of the season. He was a 61st minute substitute in Tacoma's 5-0 loss to the Las Vegas Lights. I'm sure Eric Winalda enjoyed that. Mm-hmm. Not an ideal result, obviously, but it is a sign that he's working his way back into regular minutes.
I like calling him Big Sam.
Big Sam.
It's time for a new Big Sam.
Yeah.
Stay away from the pints of wine.
Yeah, exactly.
Also, did you know Freddie Adu
He's also 18, so definitely, yeah.
To stay away from them for at least 3 years. Stay away from the pints of wine. Freddie Adu not with Las Vegas Lights this year. They let him go. I didn't know that until yesterday.
You haven't been listening to the Top Drawer Soccer Show.
Oh, sorry. Why are we talking about Freddie Adu on the Top Drawer Soccer Show?
USL Championship, man.
Oh, okay. Gerard Pannekoek is scouting Keek Pieri, the 18-year-old Dutch-American defender for Ajax. Gerard says Ajax signed Pieri for a reported fee of €4 million from Heerenveen, where he made 67 appearances. It's thought he will be a candidate to replace Ajax's current captain Matthias de Ligt when he moves on to one of the European giants. It's also likely it also likely brings Pierre closer to joining the Netherlands national team, though he would then be required to beat out Virgil van Dijk and De Ligt for a starting spot. I'm going to editorialise and say so he may as well join the US national team setup.
Pretty much what Gerard said as well. Lewis Tidrick scouting Shaft Brewer Jr., 19-year-old American right back for LAFC. Shaft got his first MLS start and went the full 90 in LAFC's 1-0 loss to Vancouver. He seemed to do well, although he was the defender that got beat prior to the cross into the box that eventually led to the match's only goal.
Hope it wasn't too bad. And Lewis, we hope you enjoyed the Avengers Endgame. Did you know Lewis Kaz Tidrick saw it at the same time as us?
I did not.
But someone had spoiled it for them. No.
Why would you do such a thing?
Hope you still enjoyed it, Lewis.
Jerks.
When we came out of Endgame, were you very careful not to say anything?
I started to say something and I realized we were walking past people who were clearly walking in to see it. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Sean Mara, excuse me.
And that's why I said the Night King killed Thanos.
Sean Mara is scouting Lee Mara, 14-year-old American midfielder for TSF Academy. Mm-hmm. I don't believe this is an authorized scouting report.
Well, it's a person who has been in the scouting network, so I'll say that much.
Okay, maybe it is. In TSF's Dallas Super Cup group match against Eintracht Frankfurt, Mara anticipated a heavy touch from an Eintracht midfielder, stole the ball and caught the keeper out with a well-placed shot from 30 to 35 yards out.
Mm-hmm. Daryl does the scouting assignments. I checked to make sure that Sean Mara was in the system. Sean Mara is definitely contributing at $5 a month, so that was enough for me. Ryan Downey scouting...
I think Sean Mara is scouting a family member unofficially.
Oh, you think so?
Yeah.
What gave it away? That Sean Mara scouting Lee Mara, who's a 14-year-old? Yeah, I think
also,
that's
we
definitely
tend
true.
not to scout 14-year-olds, right?
Also true.
All right, well done, Sean. You got one over on us, but maybe email me and we'll set you up with a different player.
Ryan Downey scouting Zion Jones, 18-year-old.
We can't have biased scouting reports, right? You can't be scouting family members.
I mean, I think any scouting report that's been requested tends to be a little bit biased. But I take your point. Ryan Downey scouting Zion Jones, 18-year-old American forward for the Charlotte Independents. It was a short stay with Schalke's, whatever that is, for Zion Jones, I guess their reserve team. USL Championship team Charlotte Independents announced Friday that Jones had signed with the team pending approval. Yeah, I appreciate you saying that after 5 seconds of studying the word.
Should also say, I said well done to Sean for getting one over on us. I guess also... well done to Lee Mara for scoring from 30 to 35 yards.
There you
go. Yeah. Thomas Mendenhall is scouting Lucas Paqueta, the 21-year-old Brazilian midfielder for Milan. Thomas says Paqueta scored his first international goal for Brazil in a friendly against Panama in March. It is May, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. He was also given the iconic number 10.
It's May 1st, to be fair.
All right. He was also given the iconic number 10 jersey for that match. He has one goal for Milan since joining them in January, but has been battling injuries, which partially explains his lack of form and my lack of scouting reports. Mm-hmm. Daryl added.
So thank you to everyone.
Just kidding, Thomas.
Thank you to everyone who sent in scouting reports. We very much appreciate it.
Yeah.
There are more to get to. We will aim to get to those on tomorrow's show.
If you'd like to join the Scouting Network, it's totalsoccershow.com/join. You can, of course, request to scout a player. There's also an option to be a silent scout, which essentially means You don't have to scout because not everybody wants to, but then you would still be supporting the show. So don't not support us just because you don't want to scout. There is the silent scout option out there. Thank you to all the scouts. Thank you to everybody for listening. And thank you, Taylor Rockwell, for taking the time to talk to me today. What's going on your computer screen? Is there some breaking news?
I just have like 500 text messages that came through all at once. They're from my wife. They're about her getting a parking ticket, and now she's mad.
I thought maybe they'd like belatedly VAR overruled all Barcelona's goals.
No, that did not happen.
Well, I'm sorry to hear about the parking tickets.
Yeah, these things happen.
So thank you for taking time to talk to me today. Listeners, thank you for listening. We'll be back again tomorrow with a listener question special.